Welcome back to February 21st, 1998. It's a Saturday. Raw is War, not on a Monday night. The ratings take a massive hit, and the competition on the other channel gets a massive bump in the ratings because of it. HBK no shows the pay-per-view. He's not here tonight as well. No DX. We do talk about what happened at the end of No Way Out, but it's been 6 days since the pay-per-view. You're not going to want to miss this one. It's episode 18 of Analyzing Attitude. Welcome into Analyzing Attitude, episode 18. Jimmy Allen and a very under the weather Mike Sweeney is going to try to power through this episode for you as we rewatch Monday Night Raw from February 21st, 1998. Mike, this is not a Monday night show. This is a Saturday night show. Feels like a really bad time for the WWE to be doing this because we're heading into Super Brawl 8. We've got WrestleMania on the horizon. You're trying to win this war right now. And due to the Westminster Dog Show, second time we've had to reference that since we've started doing this rewatch. We're live on a Saturday instead of a Monday night.
Yeah, it's very odd. The Westminster Dog Show. I remember they would either just cancel it altogether, Raw, or they would move it to like a special Wednesday show sometimes. I don't remember them ever doing a Saturday Night Raw. So very strange to see, but like you said, probably not. Couldn't have been a worse time going into Mania and everything too right now with them trying to get back on top.
You've got so much momentum right now. You're starting to see increasingly over a 3. They do specifically a 3.0 here for this episode. We opened this episode. Keep in mind, we're 6 days removed from No Way Out of Texas 1998, the pay-per-view. We just rewatched with Conrad Thompson. If you're just joining us for the first time, please go back to our YouTube channel. Check that episode out. We rewatched it with Conrad, but it was 6 days in real time between then and this episode of Raw. And just in case you missed it, we're going to go ahead and remind you to open up the show. We start the show with a package for Chyna, which is really, really strange for this time. I mean, she hasn't really talked a ton. And the last time we saw her speak, she was speaking in Spanish to the Los Boricuas. However, the last thing we saw at the end of No Way Out of Texas, Stone Cold Steve Austin delivers a stunner to a woman, to Chyna. And it feels like we're going to see how much, like, we already got Mike Tyson in the fold, Austin versus HBK at WrestleMania. And it feels like I don't think they were ever going to do Chyna versus Austin at WrestleMania at this point, but it kind of feels like we're putting some safeguards in for who it could be if HBK is not able to go, because he shows the pay-per-view because of a back injury.
Right. And it was, the video package is basically like, how could you not just showcase the crap out of this? They've been doing so well on pumping Chyna up to be this, unstoppable force, even as, a woman in a man's world. And, Stone Cold already getting in the mix with HBK and Tyson. And I think it's helped the end of that pay-per-view, as we talked about with Conrad, that they had to make it the most impactful they could do with Shawn not being able to be there. And I think they accomplished that.
Because we're still trying to sell rebuys and replays on pay-per-view at this time. So we get the news from Michael Cole, who's doing the voiceover here, that DX will address this on next week's Raw. Shawn Michaels and DX aren't even in Dallas, where we're live from tonight. No Way Out of Texas was in Houston. This one in Dallas. And not only are we not on a Monday night, the WWF champion's not here either. So there's a lot going against the Federation right now.
Yeah, I kind of figured that Shawn wouldn't be there with him not being at the pay-per-view, but at least have like Triple H there, do some kind of heat.
Have Chyna there.
Chyna, yeah. But, it is what it is. And I'll still give him credit. I enjoyed this show way better than the Go Home show for No Way Out. So,
yeah, Go Home show, really interesting main event. Tonight's main event, we'll get to it. Feels like some things were done on purpose. We'll tell you about that at the end of the episode. But one of the stars that you have outside of Triple H outside of Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin is Ken Shamrock, and we open up the show with him taking on Sniper of the Truth Commission. Not an ideal opponent, but obviously on paper you should be feeding the monster here because we find out it's been made official. Shamrock versus Rock at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship. The problem is they build up the Deception and the Truth Commission in this spot. Now, last week we had the situation where the Jackal slapped Recon and walked away from him, and there was some issues there. But this is a nothing match, and Shamrock gets his power moves in. We see a big-time power slam. Gets in the ankle. The Jackal's on commentary. Gets upset. Gets in the ring. And last week after he slapped Recon, it was kind of like the same thing he'd done with Kurgan. They walked away. This week he slaps Sniper, and Sniper shoves him in the back. Mm-hmm. And the Truth Commission walks out of the ring, and Jackal's still standing there, gives a smile to the camera and flashes the peace sign. We go to commercial break, and here's a sentence I never thought I would say. We come back from commercial break with a Recon backstage promo, and he says there's nothing wrong with the Truth Commission, everything's fine, but then Sniper breaks in and says they need to break away from the Jackal, and he knows better, blah, 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 blah. We're 4 weeks removed from the last time we saw Kurgan. Yep. Remember, he ripped that helmet apart at Penn State. It was on full display. Great visual. He has not been seen since. Not on Shotgun Saturday Night, not at No Way Out of Texas, and not whatever this is. I mean, we have the Jackal descending 2 weeks ago from the top of a building on a pedestal, and the monster's nowhere around. And now, instead of talking about Ken Shamrock being the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship, we're promoting the breakup of the Truth Commission. It just makes no sense for me.
No, there's a lot of questions I got for this one. I tried Googling too for this point where Kurgan was, because like what was going on. Like that was the only saving grace you kind of have for the Truth Commission, and I didn't understand that, but I couldn't find anything on that. But are you telling me if you can't have a promo with Shawn, Triple H, or China this week, that your only option is Recon?
Well, spoiler alert. Truth Commission's only around for 3 more weeks after this, too. Both Sniper and Recon are let out of their contracts, and it feels like they were just saving Kurgan to be this attraction. But the fact of the matter is they couldn't land Paul White, so they ended up going with this other 7-foot monster, and this is what we're dealing with now. But just makes no sense when you have a guy that is as over as Ken Shamrock at this time as a second fiddle to this nothing stable that you've been doing nothing with since July of '96.
Right. And I would even make the argument that, they've made this Shamrock Rock feud more interesting than maybe even Austin and HBK at this point. You also have
they're both there every week.
Yeah. And every promo that Rock's been a part of has been awesome, and Shamrock's been made to look like $1 million. So yeah, really strange picking on what they did with Shamrock this week.
We get a Mark Mero interview next, and he comes out with Sable, and Sable makes it a point to come out in her Mark Mero robe, but takes it off at the ramp. And she's, as our good friend Conrad Thompson likes to say, about as roll tide as it gets in this episode, by the way. But Jerry Lawler wants to know if these two are going to stay together after No Way Out of Texas. There was a big pull apart with Goldust and Luna, and obviously Mero taking his partner's side. But Mero said this all started when he was at home nursing his knee injury, and his wife was on TV advertising an Austin 316 shirt. Mero says that Sable has been trying to steal his spotlight, and fans just want to see wrestlers win matches. And at this time, a bouquet of flowers is delivered to the ring, and Mero demands to know who they're from. Sable rips them away and says, at least somebody's paying attention to her, unlike her piece of crap husband. Storms out of the ring. Mero has to follow behind her. But this is not the last time we're going to see these two. They're going to show up in the main event, and it feels like there's a massive attempt for a ratings draw. If you can just let your mind wander for a minute what it possibly could be. We'll get to that at the main event. But we're, again, talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin and Sable, and we know the rumor and innuendo surrounding this. It really feels like they're trying to push Stone Cold Steve Austin as this love interest for Sable. We know that doesn't end up happening. Mm-hmm. Man, that feels like that would have been a really bad idea if they'd have went through with this.
Yeah. And, well, hell, they had his real-life wife on screen with him for a little bit. Even as a heel, I didn't think that shit worked. So, Austin with a love interest, I'm glad there was a kibosh that was put somewhere before they got a little crazy out of hand with those storylines, because That's not the Stone Cold that we're used to.
We brought this up a couple times over the past because up next is the NWA, the Rock and Roll Express taking on the Headbangers, and we've really liked surprisingly we've really liked this stable, the NWA stable, up until this point. And I was trying to figure out where it went wrong, and I think we've hit that moment. So up next we have the Rock and Roll Express versus the Headbangers. We get Cornette's commentary before this match, and for anybody that's never seen Cornette's commentary, he was taking pop shots at not only WCW, the NWO, Hulk Hogan, etc., but he's also talking poorly about the WWE. And now, obviously, Cornette's with this stable. They do the last ever Cornette's commentary here before this match, and he just talks about everything we've been hearing him say. It's not the same thing. There's no bite at the end of it. He's just talking about the NWA bringing back traditional wrestling to the WWE, and it's kind of to set up this match for some reason, because we get the news that NWA official Tommy Young will be officiating this match to make sure there's no politics by the WWF, because the NWA championships, tag team championships, are on the line. Also during this match, we get an announcement that there's another celebrity that's going to be involved at WrestleMania 14. Spoiler alert, it's nowhere near as big as Mike Tyson, by the way. But, I mean, it's a nothing match again here, much like the Shamrock match. The Rock and Roll Express get the heat on Mosh. He gets the hot tag after a double DDT on Ricky and Robert. The Headbangers set up the stage dive. They hit it. Thrasher goes for the cover. We get a 1, a 2, and Mosh throws Hoot Gibson over the top rope. And Tommy Young calls for the bell. And we find out that the Headbangers are going to be disqualified. The Rock and Roll are going to retain because throwing an opponent over the top rope in the NWA is a disqualification. The problem is these two guys were the non-illegal men in the match, so it shouldn't have mattered anyway. But anyway, it all, like, I get heels are supposed to make you dislike them, but
right.
Like we're pushing this product that is Howard Stern, Jerry Springer, Stone Cold Steve Austin, very 1997, all the way to the moon right now. And we're doing stuff like this that is kind of the reason that people in the North, and I know Jim Cornette hates this, but really why non-Southern wrestling fans kind of hated about Southern wrestling.
Yes. And, I think any other time frame in history, they would have been fine with squeaking this storyline into their overall mission statement of what they're trying to do. Like, I think something like this would work kind of now today, but
it kind of felt like Right to Censor before Right to Censor.
Right. No pun intended. But I actually dug the finish of it. See, like, that was the kind of hokey stuff. I was like, I wouldn't have picked these guys for this stable, all of them anyways.
Right.
But they're actually making me entertained with it. So I like you said, they were both not the official man anyway, so it's really extra stupid. But I guess more heel heat for a program that nobody is really that interested in, it seems like, at the time.
Well, the other thing is, like, we get Jeff Jarrett in a minute too. There's no Bradshaw here, and he's been their biggest foil up until this point. So I and again, I guess you need to do different stuff because it's weekly television. Just didn't make a lot of sense. But the other reason that people are showing up weekly for this program, the Glass Shatters. Out comes Stone Cold Steve Austin after this match. He's being interviewed by Jim Ross, and JR asks Steve why he stunnered China at the end of No Way Out. And he said, because when you step between these ropes, your ass belongs to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Doesn't matter if you're if you're China, if you're Jim Ross, or if you're Vince McMahon. Again, that's the first time we've heard about Vince since Austin knocked him off the apron and the Mike Tyson pull apart. So he said that Austin says that he knows Shawn Michaels is at home training, and he hopes that Shawn's at his best because an ass whooping's the same no matter what shape you're in. And I mean, it's a way, and I know Steve's doing the best he can with what he's got to work with here, but it's a way to make the champion feel like a big deal even when he's not there. I thought Austin delivered on this promo big time.
With Shawn not even being there, it's all on his shoulders, and he's got to sell tickets to it. And I think he did. I know we'll get into it here a little bit more with his promo, but I think he did a good job at trying to at least sell the fact that Shawn is a big part or a big threat in this. Obviously, he's the champion, but it's mainly just been Mike and Austin that we're hearing about. So I'm glad that he's
and that's where JR goes with this next. He says, "What about Mike Tyson?" And he said Tyson's been paid to be an enforcer, and that's all well and good. But if he gets in Austin's way, he's gonna knock out that gold teeth and turn it into a necklace to wear around his neck. And he finishes talking him into the arena. He says, WrestleMania, April 19th, Austin, Michaels, Tyson, shits on. That's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. Steals Jim Ross's hat, heads over to the commentator's desk, flips a couple birds, celebrates with the fans. And it's not the shenanigans that we're expecting out of a Stone Cold on a Monday Night Raw at this point. But I wonder if Shawn not being here changed what this was supposed to be.
Right. I mean, with nothing really to do with it. I mean, not even the lackeys being there. I mean, just Steve go out there, sell the pay-per-view and be direct and shits on. He still, I mean, this is what, almost 30 years ago. It even got me kind of hyped for it again. Like, I know the match at Mania wasn't great or anything, but he's doing his thing, man.
But it's selling the best in-ring performer ever, even at this time, and it's obviously even aged well 30 years later, but the biggest box office draw in the world in Mike Tyson and the launch of Stone Cold Steve Austin into the stratosphere. It was so exciting that even Mike Sweeney's getting choked up about it here. But I'm with you, man. It got me pumped up as well. We're still 5 weeks away from getting to review WrestleMania, and we're 3 weeks away from announcing who the third man for our rewatch is going to be. Super excited about that one. It's a guy, spoiler alert, that was pretty involved in the product at the time. We're hoping you can check that out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tantalizing Attitude will enter you into a drawing to win a PlayStation 5 once we hit 1,000 subscribers. Give us an oh hell yeah down in the comments as well.
That's all I'm giving you today.
Jeff Jarrett is here tonight, and he's going to take on Owen Hart. This feels like another filler because of the lack of DX. We find out that Owen versus Triple H for the European title has been booked for WrestleMania. The reason I like that they mention here that to get to Triple H, Owen has to retain the European Championship, and that becomes a theme over the next couple of weeks. Spoiler alert for the outcome of this match, I guess. But the NWA faction is out with Jeff Jarrett. They all get sent to the back, all except for James E. Cornette, because he's a licensed manager and can be at ringside, which makes no sense if you think about it. But anyway, Owen hit some high-impact moves in this match here. And, I know Jeff Jarrett gets a lot of flack because of his time as WCW champion and the TNA stuff and being the Booker's son and yada, 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 yada. But, we talked about it 6 weeks ago with The Undertaker. He makes Owen look like $1 million here. And the dude could sell his ass off. He did it for Bradshaw at the pay-per-view. He does it here again. And, between the spinning heel kick and the reverse flying cross body off the top, Owen gets a ton of great stuff in here and gets the advantage in the match. But Jim Cornette, of course he does, gets the distraction. And it was clearly the opportunity to try to give these guys a breather because this is the one and only time they slow down in this entire match. This is pace the whole time. I was really impressed by both guys here.
Yeah, we got a little gem that just kind of snuck up on us in this episode.
Yeah.
I was when I saw who was wrestling, I was like, okay, I know they probably won't get a crazy amount of time because it's the Attitude Era, but I was like, these two are really good together, and I was like, I don't remember.
This was a great match.
Yes, absolutely. Two professionals just going out there and just throwing on a random Raw match, and we all know how close those two were behind the scenes too. Yeah. So when you like and spend so much time with that person, your chemistry shows in the ring too. So I enjoyed it.
Second biggest pop of the night behind Stone Cold's glass shatter was when Jeff Jarrett got his little slap nuts smashed into the ring post by Owen Hart. Crowd absolutely nuts for that moment. But Owen locks in the sharpshooter, and then Cornette gets into the ring, and then Earl Hebner throws out the match. Owen locks the sharpshooter in on Jim Cornette, and I like that they didn't make Owen look like a dumb baby face here because Jeff Jarrett grabs the tennis racket. Owen turns around to cut him off, and then Cornette sells the sharpshooter up the ring. Now, listen, obviously Jim Cornette's not going to be a threat to anybody, but the way he sold this, the way Jeff was scared when he caught him, it just made Owen feel like a really big deal without making Jeff look like a lesser than. I thought this whole thing was really well done.
Yes, and it just kind of shows that Cornette is, good, got the great wrestling mind. Anyways, he's not a wrestler himself, but he knows how to make people look good when it counts.
We got a break and we come back with, and I feel very comfortable saying this. Keep in mind, we've had Marilyn Manson or Goldust Justice Marilyn Manson, but to this date, the weirdest thing that I could remember happening in this rewatch, we get a recap of Michael P.S. Hayes in his Freebird days. The problem is this is 1998, and the WWF has only been presenting Michael P.S. Hayes as Doc Hendricks on Coliseum videos and Shotgun Saturday Night and Superstars, and he's never been referenced as this famous wrestler from Texas. As a kid growing up, I was 10 years old in 1998. I had no idea who Michael P.S. Hayes was, and I distinctly remember watching this. It kind of being pissed off that they were trying to tell me that Doc Hendricks was somebody else.
I mean, I don't understand why. Like, if you're gonna go through the trouble of trying to cover it up, why just change it up just because you're in Dallas? I mean, we kind of get where they're going here in a minute, but I'm with you, man. Why
do we?
I mean,
Hayes comes out in a Raw is War t-shirt and long black jeans, and keep in mind he's 39 here. Looks closer to 59 in this appearance, but he's like jiving his hips and like doing. He comes out to Bad Street USA, which he wrote, and he's lip syncing and all that. And he's here to announce the next match. It's like, okay, well, they're in Texas. It makes sense. Lights go out. The organ plays, and Kane comes down. Maybe there wasn't anybody else around that could take bumps for the Big Red Machine, and I get that. And listen, Hayes posts for this choke slam, and it looks like $1 million. Well, why couldn't we just do this as Doc? And maybe the crowd would have shit all over it. I guess that's a thing. Yeah. But Hayes takes the choke slam and the tombstone, and Paul Bear says the Freebirds have been grounded, and we cut to commercial break. But I mean, again, we're making the monster look like $1 million. It is staggering how long it takes for us to get to the Undertaker. By the way, we're still 5 weeks away from WrestleMania. He doesn't show up for a little while. A little surprising to me.
I really thought that he was going to come out this episode. I remember the when and the why, or sorry, the what and the why when he does come back, but
right.
I'm trying to remember when it was. And I guess instead of just saying I was under the weather, I should have just said I would try to do a tribute to Michael Hayes.
Yeah. Oh, he said it. You could tell me the cigarettes he smoked when he tried to talk into the microphone. We get the light heavyweight tag team match after this. And you can guess two of the participants, I promise, if you've been watching our rewatch. Brian Christopher is teaming with Parita Morgan, and then Aguila is teaming with Taka Michinoku again. We have not had a single light heavyweight match since the end of the light heavyweight tournament that did not feature Brian Christopher or Taka Michinoku.
Yes.
They have not had a single match that didn't have one of them around ringside at some point either.
No.
If the other one was involved. I hate crapping all over this because this match was actually awesome. The in-ring is stepping up for the Fed. Brian Christopher hits that sunset flip to the outside and power bombs Taka on the ramp, but misses it and like hits his head on the concrete. And he got out and he checked his pulse, which I thought was a really. I know I've kind of crapped over Brian Christopher during these last 6 episodes. I thought that was a really cool touch and it looked really great.
100%, man. And that's another one that I've been enjoying on these rewatches is the light heavyweight matches. It's like it's really stupid, and I really didn't like the King.
They're a lot better than I remember them.
But yeah, it's like at least we're getting some quality 2-minute matches.
Yes, this goes 4:30, but
right.
Heels get their heat back. We got the Parita Morgan sweet looking pop up powerbomb too, and before that Aguila hit again because apparently it's just a necessity anytime he wrestles to hit a corkscrew dive over the top rope, but he hits that here too. We get the pop up powerbomb, and then Parita Morgan misses the dive that gives Taka the chance to hit the Michinoku driver and gets the win. 4 minutes 30 seconds, a nothing match, but some really great action.
And I guess you can kind of say that this is kind of what we're heading to for Mania, because I believe it is Taka and Aguila. They were teaming tonight. I believe that's who wrestles at Mania 14.
Yep.
And I remember that being a good match, so I can't wait to watch that one again.
The second biggest star on the card comes down, and the biggest star in his own mind. It's the People's Champion. It's The Rock. We've completely lost the Rocky Maivia concept up until this point, too. He's only being known as The Rock. He comes out and he gives a gift to the Nation of Domination to Mark Henry, D'Lo, and Kama, and gives them $15,000 Rolex watches. And there's been some issues with the Nation at the pay-per-view. They lost the War of Attrition match. Farooq hits D'Lo. The Rock confronts him, and we get all these issues. And The Rock says that, there's only one man that should be able to lead the Nation. It's Farooq. And because of that, he's gotten him a great gift and gives him a nicely wrapped package. It's very large. Farooq looks pretty pleased by this. Opens it up, and it's a framed picture of The Rock as the Intercontinental Champion. Now, this is funny for a couple of reasons. Not only is this obviously very funny and topical at the time, but we know that obviously The Rock and the Nation did that table for three a couple years ago. Rock was not involved. It was just Mark Henry,
D'Lo and Farooq.
No, Kama and Farooq,
that's what
Godfather and Farooq. And The Rock legitimately sent two of those three guys actual Rolex watches, and it sent Farooq just another picture of himself. So, yeah, still funny at the time, double funny for that reason. But Farooq is taking on Steve Blackman here, who has been a showcase piece over the last 3 weeks for the WWF. And this is another short nothing match, but both of these guys got a ton of stuff in. I mean, Farouk's power moves, Blackman's speed and agility. Even the miscue with the missed dive and all that, they look like two constant professionals. And Steve Blackman's starting to get a lot of traction here.
Yeah, and they are doing what we have been saying a lot on a good portion of these superstars, is that they're maximizing their minutes. You ain't gonna get a whole lot of time at this point in time when you're somebody like Steve Blackman. Farooq maybe, but I mean, as we've said in past episodes with him too, is that he's really good on letting his opponent get their stuff in. So I mean, for what this was pretty dang entertaining.
Farooq hits the Dominator and sets up the victory, but he grabs Rock's picture and goes to hit Steve Blackman with it. And The Rock grabs it from the outside, which allows Steve Blackman to get the roll up and the win here. And Rock gets in the ring and asks Farooq, why did you want to destroy my picture? And Farooq makes Mark Henry hold it and starts punching it. And let me preface this. Ron Simmons played in the NFL and could probably bench press my house. I don't know who made this picture for The Rock, but it was not breaking until Ron Simmons literally had to rip it apart. And there's some more fallout. The Nation leave the ring over the last 3 weeks when there's been problems. Farooq has made guys fall in line and do the fist pose. That doesn't happen here. They storm off to the back. We go to commercial break. We come back, and Michael Cole's standing outside of the Nation's locker room. D'Lo gets thrown out. And he said, "Oh, there's nothing wrong." You can hear people yelling, "There's nothing wrong. Preparing for the long flight. The Nation's fine. We're just waiting for the long flight, and everything's going to be okay." It doesn't seem like things are great in the Nation of Domination right now.
Nope. They're continuing on with the Rock dissension with Farooq. My only problem with it is I kind of wish they paid it off either after Mania or at Mania, because this was actually built way longer than the Shamrock Rock feud. So it is, but it's still entertaining. So I can't complain too much.
The main event is Mark Mero and Goldust versus Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack. Now, obviously, 4 guys that can go. Probably shouldn't have too many issues with these, but I have a few.
Yeah.
Goldust is just back to being Goldust here after he's been 16 other characters over the last 15 weeks. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I guess. But obviously, Mero comes down without Sable, and Goldust dressed as Goldust. Luna kind of dressed as Goldust. We get this match underway after the faces chase the heels out with the chainsaw. We get a couple of lockups, and then Goldust kisses Terry Funk on the mouth in the corner through the pantyhose. And I have a feeling that might not have been agreed upon before the match, because Terry Funk, here's our meat and potatoes of the night, comes out and absolutely decks Dustin Runnels right in the face and doesn't necessarily pull his punch. But then Mero gets the tag in, and the heels kind of cut Funk off. And then Sable comes out with the bouquets still in her hands. Luna grabs the bouquet. She destroys it right in front of Sable. The heels and the official get distracted long enough that Cactus Jack grabs a chair, and poor Goldust is just getting walloped here because he takes a shot from Cactus Jack. The faces get the win. Sable and Luna get into a cat fight again. Here's what we've been talking about all show. Sable's breast falls out on live TV, and that's clearly the purpose of this being the main event, because we're on Saturday night and we're trying to get some talking points about our show,
Yeah.
and we're trying to win the ratings war here.
That was our second meat and potatoes of the week. Yeah, I mean, I understand that's what they were doing. That's why they wanted to do the main event. But was that really the best way they could do that? I mean,
Apparently.
It was a nothing match. It was.
Well, the surprising part about them doing this is not the fact that they did it. This is 3 weeks removed from the USA Network sending them a cease and desist about things they can't say, can and can't do, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, the one thing really not in that letter was sexualization of women. And so, I mean, sex sold more than anything in 1998, and we're putting the chick that's moving the merchandise front and center, I guess.
Yep. And I'm thinking that's a message from Vince saying that he's not scared. So
clearly,
we'll
Raw. Despite the nip slip, despite the Mike Tyson popularity and the coming off of a pay-per-view, Raw only does a 3.0 here. 3 weeks ago they did a 3.4, and then that was with the Tyson debut.
Mm-hmm.
They drop here on a Saturday night. That Monday, the Monday that they were not on, Nitro does the all-time high at this time and gets a 5.1. They haven't even sniffed a 5 up until this point. They do a 5.1 here on this episode of Raw or of Nitro, and it's almost 11 months before WWF doesn't run on a Monday night again, and this is why.
And they shouldn't. I would honestly just say if you can't because of the damn Westminster Dog Show, just don't do it the Raw that week, because I don't know. I didn't think. I mean, it's Saturday people aren't going to watch a Raw.
I would have been really interested what they would have if they would have ran from 10 to midnight, because the Dog Show got over at like 9:30, 9:45, and I don't think they really needed to have La Femme Nikita on that bad. It would have been really interesting to see what the ratings would have been on a Monday night after prime time. It would have been really interesting to see.
I think they would have got a bit higher than what they ended up getting.
Well, it's great the show, Mike. Not a great show for me. I'm going to give it a C. It wasn't great. It wasn't horrible. It's a little bit in between. We've furthered some storylines. A little disappointed by the lack of the Undertaker showing up. Very disappointed by the lack of anything involving Degeneration X. But the in-ring action was really good, so I'll give it a C.
God, did you like the non-lack of the Michael Hayes?
I would have been happier if that would have happened.
I
might have moved it up a full letter grade.
I actually went up. I think it was D+/Raw. I went up to C+ this time. I really enjoyed.
It was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed the cruiserweight matches for what we got. The Owen Hart Jarrett match, and that awesome punch from old Funkers to Gold Dust there was enough to get me to move up the little grade. And maybe I'm just under the weather and it sucked way worse than I thought it did.
Well, hopefully this episode didn't suck too bad. This has been Analyzing Attitude. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to enter you into a drawing to win a PlayStation 5 as soon as we hit 1,000 followers. Again, don't forget to pay attention 2 weeks from now when we announce who the third man is for WrestleMania. You're not going to want to miss this one. It's a pretty big deal. I've been Jimmy Allen. That's the Good Doctor, and under the weather, Mike Sweeney. We appreciate you. We'll catch you next time. Give us the oh hell yeah down in the comments. We'll see you on episode 19.